What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, I wanted to bid Shadow Typhlosion farewell before the next season because with all of the Rock and Dragon type buffs we're going to see, I don't know how much play Shadow Typhlosion is going to have. I'm using it today with Incinerate, Blast Burn, and Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch being great coverage against all the water types you might see, Incinerate and Blast Burn being very powerful fire type moves. Now, Shadow Typhlosion is pretty squishy, so I need to pair it up with some bulk. The first Pokemon I chose is Blastoise, one of the bulkiest water type Pokemon in the game. It is running Rollout as well as Hydro Cannon and Skull Bash. And don't ask about the name, that is Home Slice Henry's fault. I guess if you want the lore there, make sure to ask him. And then I have Shadow Jumpluff as the final Pokemon here. It's actually my lead Pokemon for the day. Well, it is a Shadow. It's one of the bulkiest Pokemon still in the meta. It has a lot of offensive pressure with Acrobatics and Aerial Ace, and combining it with the other two Pokemon, it is a very good team. Let's get into the battles and see what this team can do. Alright, first game of the day, Shadow Jumpluff up against a Primeape, a very good matchup here for our flying type Pokemon. They could have access to Ice Punch, which might be a little bit scary, and they are staying in, so that means there is a good chance they do have Ice Punch, but they let us throw first, which is kind of an interesting play. In comes an Aerial Ace, likely getting a shield here from the Primeape. They're so squishy, they have to shield that. In comes an Azumarill here in the back line, and at this point, I'm fine going for an Acrobatics Chip and Dip, trying to catch an Icy maybe on our Blastoise as well. And getting this Pokemon out of the way so our Typhlosion in the backline gets to avoid the water type is going to be very nice for us to see. No catch is done by our Blastoise here, but still we survived 2 play roughs, and I'm not that concerned about the bubble fast move pressure, so this isn't that bad of a matchup to be in even still. We can go for a Skull Bash here in just a second. Our opponent likely does not want to shield at the second attack here. They've already gone down 1 shield in this game, and comes that Skull Bash down, goes a lot of HP from the Azu. They do survive. They get a play rough off at the last second, but we should be able to roll out this all the way down and either go for Hydro Cannons against that Primeape or force him to throw some energy. They do throw energy here right before my Hydro Cannon can land, and I'm going to be honest, I think I want to shield this. I'm going to be happy to get this damage off into this Pokemon. It is a little bit scary shielding a move like this here, since at this point, Rage Fist has ramped up their attack stat just a little bit, but by going for this Hydro Cannon, going into our Jumpluff as well, we should be able to farm down. At this point, I'm expecting no Ice Punch the way they played this out. Yeah, just a close combat. It does do about half my HP, so very impressive damage for a resisted move to do, but in comes a Tinkaton, and at this point, they have no idea what's lurking in the back line. My Shadow Typhlosion will easily be able to win this game. My Jumpluff, honestly, is not even doing that bad of an amount of damage here either. They have to knock us out before I get my next Acrobatics, or they're going to be in farm down range. They realize that. Likely a play rough being thrown right now. Bulldoze would not quite do it. Down goes a lot of their energy. In comes our Shadow Typhlosion. Our opponent at this point has almost no play. These Incinerates are shredding through their HP. We knock him out. Down goes Tinkaton, and they end up top lefting. GG to our opponent there. Shadow Typhlosion didn't do too much, but it did just enough in the backline to prove why it's so good. Next game is a Dusknoir in the lead, and this Pokemon is remarkably neutral against our full team, right? Luckily, it's not Dusclops. Dusclops would be a bit more annoying, saying Ice Punch is super effective against both my Grass and Flying typing here. I try to catch a Shadow Punch, doesn't quite work out. And this Dusknoir, it banks so much energy, swapping into a Tinkaton after the fact as well. That energy could be a bit problematic later on this game, but I know at this point the energy lead that I have on Blastoise is also very helpful. I can go for a Hydro Cannon. I can go for another one here in just a second as well. I know I don't get knocked out by whatever they're going to throw here. I'm going to no-shield this move, but they go for a bait. They go for the Bulldoze thinking maybe I'm going to shield that attack, but I'm not going to shield. I think at this point, saving shields for a Shadow Typhlosion is always going to be the play. In comes a Hydro Cannon number 2. The third one already loaded up before they get to a play rough. They kind of have to shield this at this point. If they don't, this Tinkaton's done almost nothing here in this game. No, they do let it go. That's insane. All right. And in the backline, going to be another Primeape. I don't want to give a huge farm down over to them here. I'm going to swap into our Shadow Incinerate user. And look at these Incinerates. That is just neutral damage, but it only takes 4 fast attacks to knock out a Shadow Primeape. That is how much damage a Shadow Typhlosion can do. They go for the instant Rage Fist here to try to get my second shield. I will double shield. I have 2 Thunder Punches ready to go. In comes that Dusclops here, or Dusknoir rather. And this Pokemon, while it will be a little bit tricky with the amount of energy it has, I have a lot of energy across the board myself. We go for that Thunder Punch number 1, Thunder Punch number 2, going to follow very shortly after. If they let this move go, I think I can farm them down, and if they shield this up, then I have energy on my Blastoise as well as on my Shadow Jumpluff, so we should be able to pretty easily win this game. In comes a Shadow Punch here. Dusknoir is able to knock out Shadow Typhlosion, but now I can bring in our Shadow Jumpluff. We are just 1 Fairy Wind away from our Aerial Ace. We can go for that attack here in just a second. Shadow Punch does end up landing. In comes that Aerial Ace, and this move, it might not knock out, saying it's the non-Shadow Dusknoir, but it will put them down into fast move farm down range. In comes our Blastoise. Yeah, we were just 1 more rollout away there too. We had so much energy across the board, and we're able to take the win in that game. Next game is a Shadow Scizor in the lead. And honestly, this is a little bit awkward. I know that my backline is better into Scizor than my Jumpluff. I wanted to go for an Aerial Ace Chip and Dip, but they actually lock us in with a CMP on a Night Slash. meaning I take a lot of damage here, but I think that's fine at this point. Aerial's likely going to get no-shielded by our opponent. I'm going to try to do a bit of a cheeky play, go for an Incinerate Snipe down. Our opponent does not react to it. Down goes the Shadow Caesar. Absolutely love to see that here. In the backline, I'm going to see an Azumarill end up coming in, and I have Thunder Punch. And the thing is, Azum, while it is a Pokemon that has a lot of faster pressure into us, 2 Thunder Punches plus the Incinerates are basically enough to knock them out. I'm going to go for another Thunder Punch here in just a second, but wow, okay, they had a Bastiodon, but they came an Azu into us. That is an interesting play. This will be a bit of an interesting endgame as well, though, because you have to keep in mind, Azu did store a lot of energy. Basti as well gets a pretty big farm down here against us, and our Jumpluff doesn't have a lot of wiggle room right now, but Blastoise can come in. It can go for Hydro Cannons here. The Incinerate damage might have put them into 2-shot range for our Hydro Cannons. Let's see if that is going to be the case. It's going to be close here. I don't think that my next Hydro, though, will be enough. They have a lot of energy on Azu as well as this Bastiodon. I'm going to no-shield the first Stone Edge, knowing it doesn't knock us out, but I will have to shield everything else in this game. Hydro Cannon number 2 being thrown. They probably know they can survive this at this point. In comes that Hydro Cannon. Down goes their final shield. In comes the Azumarill once again. I'm going to shield this up. I have to start shielding something this game, and I know I need to land a Hydro Cannon into that Bastiodon if I want any chance to win this game. Skull Bash is going to come through. I'm going to hope it's enough to knock him out here. I overfarm just enough to be able to get almost to 100 energy, as well as hopefully fast move them into a range where this Skull Bash is enough to KO. It does knock them out here. We should be able to go for the Hydro Cannon. Just 2 more rollouts is all it's going to take. And at this point, while this won't knock out, our Shadow Jumpluff, despite only having resisted damage, should be able to get its revenge against this Bastiodon and go for an Acrobatics. I can shield up the Stone Edge here. I know we're not going to get smacked down in time. We can go for that Acrobatics here in just a second. And despite both Steel and Rock resisting this attack, it is a very efficient move. It will at least be able to do like 2% of damage to a Basti. We're able to pick up the win here. GG to our opponent. Next game, Shadow Pluff up against a Shadow Dusknoir. Seen a lot of Dusknoir recently here. I saw a lot at Worlds as well, so I think a lot of people are realizing how safe this Pokemon can be in the right spot. But the thing is about Shadow Dusknoir is it's very squishy, right? So if they want to survive, they have to actually go for a shield on my Acrobatics, and with that in mind, I'm going to go for an Aerial Ace instead. This move might not guarantee a shield, but I want to see if they are going to shield this or not. In comes that Aerial Ace. They do let it go, so I guess I should have full sent the move there. Could have one-shot them. That would have been pretty nice, but it doesn't matter. Another Aerial Ace is already loaded up here. In comes a move. In comes their shield that time. All right, not too bad for us to see. I'm going to try to overfarm as much as I can here. I could shield that up and go for an Aerial Ace if I wanted to, but I also know at this point I have set up a shield advantage, which is hopefully all we really need for a Shadow Typhlosion to have some play here in the backline. An interesting move by our opponent. They actually bring in a Lapras into our loaded Blastoise. I have Skull Bash, I have rollout damage as well, which is going to shred through their HP quite a bit. And while that Dusknoir does have a lot of energy here in the backline, one thing that is in my favor is the fact that my Typhlosion should be able to go for a farm down in a single Incinerate against them. They'll only get one of their Shadow Punches off against us with that Dusknoir later on in this game. I go for the Hydro Cannon here, hoping to put them down into a fast move farm down range. I come in with our Typhlosion, but our opponent is actually able to reach a Sparkling Aria. A bit of a miscalculation by me here. Probably should have just stayed in Blastoise. Now I have to go down this shield. They likely bring in that Dusknoir now as well. And if that is the case, I have to instantly shield this move or else I'd take a second one potentially. Well, I guess I wouldn't take a second one, but I would end up taking a lot of damage there. I don't know what's in the backline. But luckily, now that I do see what's in the backline, I know our Shadow Typhlosion should be able to sweep. We're going to be able to go for one Blast Burn here. Yeah, their Wincon's calling like that I bait them with a Thunder Punch, but we're not going to do that when it's not that worth it. We're able to pick up the win. Blast Burn one-shotting the Tinkaton. Next game is a Gastrodon in the lead, one of the best leads we can see here, and on this safe swap is going to be a Dunsparce, a Pokemon that, I mean, I don't have a hard answer for, but with a battle of attrition here with our Shadow Jumpluff as well as our Blastoise, we should be able to deal with it. Interestingly enough, we actually had a shield on an Aerial Ace. That was not even enough energy for that to be an Acrobatic, so I'm kind of surprised they shielded that attack up. Drill Run is going to be an efficient move, but it's non-stab, and Rollout against us is not doing that much damage. I mean, I'm using Rollout myself, but at least I have Hydro Cannon, a very strong stab attack here against this Dunsparce. Can we two-shot from this range? It looks like we basically can here, and we can survive this next Drill Run as well, so our Blastoise should be able to overfarm a lot of energy, potentially pick up their next shield as well. This is looking pretty good for us right now, as long as we can avoid that Gastrodon against our Shadow Typhlosion. In comes our next move here. Hydro Cannon is going to actually pick up a shield. I was kind of expecting a no-shield there, because by shielding that move up, that just guarantees my next Hydro Cannon will knock him out, and then I'll keep switch advantage as well as I'll have a shield advantage for the backline. In comes our next Hydro Cannon here. Our opponent must have miscalculated. They got a CMP here against us, but Blastoise, a bit higher attack, able to win that CMP, knock out the Dunsparce, and while Gastro will get a couple of Mud Slaps against us here, I don't really think that's going to matter. In the backline, that might be the worst possible thing that we could see here. We are ABA weak to Rock-type damage. The only saving grace is the fact that Blast Burn is one of the most efficient moves in the game. This move is going to do a lot of damage. These Smackdowns are shredding through my HP quite a bit, but they have no shields to hide behind. That first Blast Burn comes through, And, they throw on alignment. I don't think 2 Smackdowns would have knocked us out anyway, but I will take that any day of the week. That's going to guarantee at this point that we can reach this next move here, go for the knockout with this Blast Burn against the Bastiodon, and this should take them down. Down goes the Bastiodon. A bit of a tricky Pokemon for a backline to see, but luckily Typhlosion does not honestly have that little play into that Pokemon. We're able to take it out. Next game, Shadow Drifloon in the lead. Not a bad Pokemon for a Jumpluff to see, although it is a little bit awkward thanks to them having access to Icy Wind, but all of our damage is neutral into them as well, so I kind of want to dance around this if I can. Fairy Wind as well as Aerial is going to draw a shield here. I'm going to catch what I'm hoping is an Icy Wind. I guess they could have seen this catch coming. They could have gone for a Shadow Ball. Let's see what they throw. No, it is a proper catch on the Ice-type charge move there. We're going to go for a Hydro Cannon here when we can, but our opponent actually tries to go for a catch. I guess that's a good play, but I'd go for Hydro Cannons against this one way or another. In comes our first Hydro Cannon. Our opponent at this point is going to probably take 3 to get knocked out, saying my attack has been lowered, and roll out as a fast move does not do too much to ground-type Pokemon. In comes our next Hydro Cannon here. This will put them pretty low into the yellow, but our opponent isn't throwing any energy just yet. I'm kind of surprised by that. I think at this point they must realize that switch advantage might not be the most important for them in this game. They don't want to give my Shadow Jumpluff a huge farm down, so they're going to go for their Drifloon actually just to come right back in. And I saw that coming. I was going to come in with our Shadow Jumpluff as well, trying to get the energy lead here against them. I shield the Icy Wind, and in the backline is going to be a Talonflame. This is a bit of a tricky Pokemon to see for our Shadow Jumpluff, but the thing is our damage is still going to do quite a bit to them. We go for that Acrobatics, then we go for another Acrobatics here back to back. This move is going to knock him out if they let it go. Does this Talonflame want to commit a shield against our Grass type? No, they actually just let it go down completely. In comes that Shadow Drifloon, and at this point, while they do get a farm down here, I'm hoping that our Fasting Pressure with Rollout as well as Incinerate should be enough. They're likely going to go for an Icy Wind bait here, but I know they need to land a Shadow Ball, so even if they do bait us, I don't think they can get to another move here to knock us out. We do shield up properly. Down goes the Drifloon. Typhlosion able to Incinerate all the way through that Drifloon. Next game, a Shadow Kanto Ninetales lead. I don't love this lead situation here. I say swap my Blastoise. What are we going to be met by? Our opponent takes so long to swap out there. It's kind of crazy that they gave us such a huge energy lead. We go for a Hydro Cannon against the Annihilate, and at this point, I'm a little bit worried about the amount of energy they have on that Ninetales, but we do draw a very early shield with that Hydro Cannon here. Kind of nice to see. They go for a Rage Fist against us, and this move will ramp up their attack stat, but the non-Shadow Annihilate might have a little bit less damage than they might like here. I'm going for a Hydro Cannon right now. I don't know if I can reach another one after this, though. Counter damage might be just a little bit too much to our Blastoise. Yeah, they do knock us out, unfortunately. And Jumpluff is going to come in here and try to farm them all the way down. There is a chance that Annihilate is running Ice Punch. I'm going to shield just to be safe, and yeah, they almost one-shot us there, so good thing that we shielded that attack. I'm going to try to farm them all the way down. We do get the full farm down. We have a lot of energy on our Jumpluff, but they as well have some energy on that Ninetales. I go for the Acrobatics, hoping at this point that this is enough to either put them into Incinerate downrange or maybe draw a shield from them. We do end up drawing that shield. In comes our Shadow Typhlosion, and in the backline is going to be an Azumarill. Now, this Pokemon, as we've seen earlier in the video, is not the worst-case scenario, but it is a Pokemon that at the very least will get a shield from us, despite the fact that I resist Ice Beam and Play Rough. These bubbles would just knock us out if I don't shield that attack. I go for the Thunder Punch. I go for another one here after one more Incinerate if I can. I want to get as much energy as I can for the backline, but if that Ninetales has access potentially to Overheat, then this game is over. If they don't have Overheat, my Jumpluff should survive one attack from them. I can get a Thunder Punch as well as an Aerial Ace into this Pokemon, but it's going to come down to the moveset. This Ninetales has a lot of energy. They're basically at the Overheat right now. I swap out after the Thunder Punch. Our opponent throws the move. What is it going to be? Please tell me this is just a Weather Ball. In comes the attack. It's an Overheat. It one-shots our Shadow Jumpluff. And Shadow Typhlosion, unfortunately, despite resisting the damage, still gets Empered down. Well played to our opponent there. I guess I can't be too mad about that one. Our next game is going to be a Jumpluff into Jumpluff matchup. A very interesting Pokemon to see here in the lead. A Pokemon that my Typhlosion, I guess, would really like to see this, but my Blastoise, especially if they're on Energy Ball, is happy to avoid this Pokemon. They go for the instant Acrobatics. We actually end up winning CMP as well, which is pretty nice to see. In comes an Aerial Ace or an Acrobatics. Let's see what they're going to throw against us. The non-Shadow Jumpluff does quite often run Energy Ball, I found here, rather than the other moves. So I no-shield, and they don't one-shot us, which is always a good thing to see. In comes a Shadow Drapion. They go for a Crunch here on 6 Poison Stings. I'm going to shield this up just because I want to bait the fact that I could potentially have an Acrobatics here. I have the energy, but I went for the Aerial Ace instead. They do shield that attack up. In comes our Blastoise, and at this point, I'm in a pretty good spot. I know that we've been able to chip down this Drapion at least into range where a Skull Bash could knock him out, and there's a good chance that Shadow Drapion might expect a Hydro Cannon here. If I go for the Skull Bash, I can not only ramp up my attack stat, but I can also put them very low, if not just knock them out here at this point. Let's see what they're going to do. They no-shield. They try to survive a Hydro Cannon, but we knock them out here. In comes a Morpeko in the back line, and oh, that was a nice catch. Jumpluff ends up catching our Hydro Cannon right now. I'm going to undercharge it here. Maybe that was a good undercharge. Maybe that was a bit too much, though. I was hoping 3 rollouts would be enough, and just barely not enough here to knock him out. I can farm this down with our Jumpluff, get a bit more energy, and as long as I can land a move here with our Jumpluff, then either we can put them into range where we can farm them down with Typhlosion, or if they shield the attack, then potentially my Blast Burn from my Typhlosion could be enough to knock him out as well. Aerial Ace being thrown. Do we see a shield? Our opponent opts to let it go. I swap instantly into our Shadow Typhlosion. You can just see how much damage these Incinerates are already doing. Our opponent goes instantly for the Aura Wheel, trying to get the knockout against us, as well as ramping up their attack stat. This is going to be such a close game. Our opponent takes one more Incinerate, but because they are a very good player, they do 4 Thundershocks, meaning the max amount of energy on this Pokemon for the least amount of damage that we can do. Down goes our Typhlosion. Can we Fairy Wind down before a 3rd Aura Wheel will be reached? Just barely we can. We're able to pick up the win there. GG to our opponent. Next game, Jumpluff up against the Alolan Sandslash. Oh boy. At least our backline's good into this Pokemon, but man, that is not what I want to see here. We have Blastoise, which is doing a lot of rollout damage, at least enough here to start chipping him down a little bit. These Powder Snows are not doing too much to us, but they go for a Drill Run, Chip and Dip. They catch the move on their Jellicent. Nice catch. I mean, I guess I would have thrown this one way or another, but at this point, I'm going to just try to go for the Chip and maybe get them into farm down range for our Jumpluff. I'm just hoping it's a double water team with a water type in the backline that our Typhlosion can beat. I've seen a lot of double water teams in the past here with a Jumpluff, or rather with a Sandslash lead, so if that is the case, maybe there's still a chance for us. What move they're going to throw here? Shadow Ball knocks us out. Surf, not quite enough, but by going for the Surf, they probably put us into the perfect Hex down range. This is going to be so awkward here in the end game. I think Shadow Typhlosion is going to have to pull off a miracle if you want any chance to win. In comes our Jumpluff. Another Hex is going to be used by our Jellicent here. The Shadow Ball will land against Jumpluff, but I think we can survive one pretty easily. The second one, if they can reach it, would put us pretty low. I'm hoping at this point this is a Surf, but I think that's enough energy for another Shadow Ball at this point. It's really going to be down to our Typhlosion. Yeah, man, we take that Shadow Ball there. We're deep into the red. In comes an Incinerate. Nearly does half the HP on that A-Slash, and there it is. A Water type in the back line, but a Water type that we actually have play into. The Feraligatr is a Pokemon that is going to resist our Incinerates, but we actually can outpace them to these Thunder Punches, and because the Shadow Claws don't have a lot of Fast Food pressure, especially since they are the non-Shadow Feraligatr, we should be able to outpace them, survive enough to get one more Incinerate into potentially that A-Slash later on this game, and that could win us a match. With that said, they're going for Crunches, kind of a heads-up play. They're going for Crunch to try to fish for a defense drop. There it is. They actually do debuff my defense stat. Don't love to see that, but at this point, I do have back-to-back Thunder Punches. One is thrown. It is shielded. The second one is going to be thrown. This should knock out the Feraligatr, and as long as one more Incinerate can land against that A-Slash, we should be able to win this game. In comes that Incinerate. We were able to land the attack here. Our opponent throws energy, but the thing is, while this is going to knock out my Typhlosion, we still have an Aerial Ace loaded on our Jumpluff. We can bring it in here, go for the attack, knock out the Alolan Sandslash, and somehow claw our way back from this game. Jumpluff, and then Typhlosion Blastoise taking care of an A-Slash double water team. Love to see it. I was not expecting that one here, but well played to our opponent. Somehow we pulled that one off. Next game, though, is going to be a Pangoro on the lead, one of the best leads that a Jumpluff could see. We see a Say Swap of a Lapras here, and it's always a 50-50 on what moveset they're running. It could be on Ice Beam, it could be on Skull Bash. I think either way, though, going for the Acrobatics Chip and Dip into our Blastoise is a very consistent move to go for. They end up no-shielding the attack, so they're in range for rollouts as well as a Hydro Cannon could be enough to knock him out. I go for the no-shield. Is this a Skull Bash? No, just a Sparkling Aria being thrown, which means likely they don't have Skull Bash, but maybe they do. Maybe that was a bait. I'm hoping once again that this is not a Skull Bash. I no-shield. What is it going to be? In comes a Sparkling Aria. We're able to survive. We overfarm as much energy as we can here. Blastoise goes for one Hydro Cannon. If they shield us up, we have a second one. If they let this go, I have a lot of energy for the backline. They do let that move go. What's going to come in now? It is a Pangoro, and Hydro Cannons are going to start getting spammed out against this Pokemon. Hydro Cannon number 1 into the Pangoro, going to be thrown, going to land actually into this Pokemon. In comes our next Hydro Cannon. Our opponent looks like they're committing to a farm down here. I guess that's a smart play in a way, but the energy on a Pangoro doesn't do that much damage into a Jumpluff, so I'm fine getting Switch and Shield advantage right now. I can bring in Jumpluff, try to neutralize the energy, or I guess if we see the final Pokemon, we can just bring in our Shadow Typhlosion and start going for Thunder Punches. The best thing about this matchup for us is not only do we resist the Fire-type damage they're throwing into us, but Thunder Punch is super effective into Talonflame, nearly one-shots them there. They realize not much they can do, even with all the energy they have, and we're able to pick up the win. Next matchup here is a Ufisk in the lead. And this Pokemon is actually a bit of a team breaker, right? It's a Pokemon that, while I have a grass and a water type Pokemon, my grass type only has flying type damage, and my water type is weak to electric type damage. So it's going to be a bit of an interesting game, but I think Jumpluff, even though I only have resisted charge attack pressure here, is not the worst into Unova and Stunfisk, mainly because Unova and Stunfisk, for some reason, is not able to do anywhere near as much damage as it should be able to with these discharges. We can survive 2 pretty comfortably. I think we can survive the 3rd as well, get to 2 acrobatics plus an aerial ace in the Zero Shield matchup, and if we can, then potentially we can neutralize most of this Ufisk. In comes an attack here, likely another discharge, unless they're going crazy and mud bombing a grass and flying time. No, just a discharge being thrown once again. Acrobatics coming through against this Ufisk. Do we see a shield? Once again, they let it go. We're just 2 more Fairy Winds away from an aerial ace, and this should either draw a shield or knock them out. Either way, I think I'm pretty happy with neutralizing most of this Ufisk. Down goes the ground and electric type Pokemon. In comes a Golisopod. I have a decision to make right now. Do I think it's going to be something in the backline I'd rather have my Typhlosion against, or should I bring in Typhlosion here? I'm going to actually opt to bring in my Blastoise right now. The main reason for this is I can bait a Skull Bash. I can likely get a shield advantage for a Shadow Typhlosion, and at the very least, Blastoise should be able to do a lot of damage here as well. I'm kind of thinking right now, maybe it's going to be an Araquanid in the backline. If that is the case, then keeping HP remaining on our Shadow Typhlosion is going to be very helpful for us. They actually go instantly for the next move here before my next Hydro Cannon is going to be reached, so might as well just let Blastoise go down at this point. Incinerate through this Pokemon, have a lot of energy as well as a shield advantage. Fury Cutters are adding up slowly here over time. They go for the move at the last second, and this is going to be interesting. Does that Incinerate knock out, or will they survive? Aqua Jet comes through, they do a couple more Fury Cutters, then they swap out to the Talonflame. Alright, very smart play by them. They've actually stored a lot of energy on that Golisopod, but I think we have a guaranteed win condition this game. Either I need to knock out this Talonflame with the next Incinerate, but if I don't, I can go for the Thunder Punch. If I do knock them out, then I'd be in a really good spot either way. But I think going for this Thunder Punch is a guaranteed win, because if they no-shield, then I'd be able to farm down and not have to use this shield here against this Pokemon, just farm down that Golisopod. But since they did shield, I can farm down this Talonflame and go for a Blast Burn against that Golisopod, and even though it might be some overkill here, we're able to secure a guaranteed victory. In comes that Golisopod, in comes the Blast Burn, Shadow Typhlosion sweeping the backline. Once that Ufisk goes away, this Shadow Typhlosion was just able to sweep through a lot of that team here. So GG there to our opponents, and we're able to pick up a nice little set here to close off the day. In comes the Elo, and it is 33-13 as well, our new season high. Haven't really been trying to leaderboard too much this season, but we're able to get all the way into the 3300s with this team, over a 150-point climb using Shadow Typhlosion. It's a very fun Pokemon. I was a little bit annoyed about the amount of Bastiodons we saw today, but I mean, even with Basti, you saw how much play you have into it. We're able to use our Blastoise as well as Shadow Typhlosion to kind of neutralize them, and Basti users generally are not, the highest IQ players out there. No offense if you guys are Basti players, but please swap off using that Pokemon. You're better than that. But no, thank you so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.